Good afternoon. This is Larry Tentarelli with today's edition of Your Daily 5 for StockCharts.com. I've brought with me 5 charts of interest today that will go into some detail. Just a brief introduction. You can find me on Twitter. My handle is at LMT978. Also, you can find me on our website. It's bluechipdaily.com. And we've got a free 30-day trial. If you like the information that you hear today and you want to learn some more, you can always join us for free to start. So we'll go into 5 charts. I brought 4 today that I think are set up very well. I've got positions in 3, and then we're going to talk about one that I don't think is set up too well, and we'll go into some details. So we're going to start with AMD, Advanced Micro Devices, in the semiconductor group in technology. And we can see, obviously, this chart's having a very strong day. It's having a very strong week. So it's up 13% on the week. I've had a position here for about a month. I had to, excuse me, I had to go through a little bit of a drawdown here, but then it's broken out to, looks like maybe 6 or 7 month highs. But there's a lot of things on this chart that are set up well and that we can learn from. So the first thing, if we go back to February, AMD broke out very high volume on earnings, had a quiet pullback, and then it pulled back with NVIDIA before they reported. But a couple interesting things on this chart. When AMD pulled back, it held over that rising 50-day moving average. It recently reclaimed the 20-day, and now you can see we've got a very strong week, 3 sharp days higher. We've got a bullish 50, 200-day cross to the upside. We've got some nice volume coming in, and there's just quite a few things on the chart that are set up well. Obviously, the bullish moving average cross, the breakout today, so 93.68. That looks like it's about a 7-month high. Now, I will say this. I did book some gains in this position today, shared it with our members. The daily RSI is up at 71. So at 71, it generally, on these large cap stocks, once we get to 70, often it signals maybe that some consolidation could be due. Maybe it's a good place for back and fill, or a good place to take some profit. So I did book some gains today. I'm still holding the position, but on any back and fill, I think the chart would offer a good reward versus risk buy. So we'll start with AMD. Number 2 is Meta Platforms. Now, this is a stock that I don't have a position in. It's been on my watch list for a little while. It's been on our members' top 25 list for a while, but what I do in these higher volatility markets is I try not to do too much. So I don't want to be overexposed to have too much volatility, but Meta is extremely high on my potential buy list, especially if we get any type of pullback. We've got options expiration tomorrow. We've got the FOMC interest rate decision next week, but big breakout on earnings, similar to AMD, but this one was much bigger. Pulled back. It completed a 50% retracement of this entire post-earnings breakout. It found a lot of support at 170. And if we take a look at 170 going back to June to September of last year, nice support range. Pulled back, and then it's had a strong breakout move this week. So keep in mind, this week we've had a couple of the regional banks were shut down. Credit Suisse has their issues that they're trying to work through. And then we see NASDAQ 100 leaders like Meta. We see Advanced Micro Devices having big moves. So the market, what I see, and what I've been sharing with our members for the past week or two, is I see a pretty strong rotation into higher quality tech, higher quality growth, and these NASDAQ 100 leaders. So cyclicals are rolling over. We'll talk about that some more. But Meta just under 200. It's got a 71 daily RSI, so I don't let the indicators override the price. But all this tells me is that maybe some consolidation could be due. But as long as Meta holds over this rising 50-day moving average, then this entire uptrend is intact. It's got support at 170 to 175, and it recently had a bullish 50-200-day cross. So this chart is also set up well. Now, keep in mind, it's important to understand, we don't know what we don't know as far as bank news. Is there another regional bank that's going to run into some issues? We don't know what the Fed's going to do. So I always expect volatility, but I want to focus on what charts are trending higher and set up well. NASDAQ 100 QQQ. This is a new position that we started this week. And this is my favorite stock index chart, ETF chart right now on the screen. So a couple bullish things here. First thing, bullish 50-200-day cross. So we saw this in AMD, we saw this in Meta, and now we're seeing this in QQQ. The second thing is it recently pulled back, but it held over this 285 support level of the major indices, the S&P 500, the Dow, and NASDAQ 100. This is by far set up the best. What I'd like to see is I'd like to see a close over 305. In the near term, it does show a lower high and a lower high, a lower low and a lower low. So that is more cautious as far as the near-term price trend. If QQQ, technically, if it closes over 304, if it closes over 304, then that would give us a higher high to offset this recent downtrend. I'd like to see it over 305. I started to buy this position this week. I added a little bit this morning, and this is one of my favorite ideas here. I know that there's a lot of volatility in the markets. There's a lot of uncertainty. Where are we going to be in 3 to 6 months? Nobody really knows. But what I want to focus on, what's happening on the screen right now. And QQQ, I've got a position here, and if that gets over 304 to 305, I think that we could test some further upside, and it's got the bullish 50-200-day cross. One other position that I've got here, TLT, this is U.S. Treasury bonds. Now, I've had this position since December, so it's been very choppy. It's been in a range between, we'll call it 98 on the low side, and we'll call it let's call it 108 to 110 on the high side. So TLT was in a long-term downtrend. It's been choppy. Everything in the markets have been volatile. The stocks have been volatile. Bonds have been volatile. The US dollar, everything has been volatile. But what I see here is we had a couple daily closes over the 200-day, and that failed. We've got a couple more now, but also if you take a look at the weekly chart, which I don't have here for TLT, it reclaimed the 40-week moving average on a closing basis for the first time going back to December 2021. And there's a lot of volume that's coming in here. So I want to look at price and volume, and we can see 1, 2, 3 very high volume up days, one higher volume down day, but setting up very well. I've recently added to this position. If TLT can clear 110, then I think it can open up this chart to higher. Obviously, there's a lot of talk in the media about recession, economic slowdown. Maybe the Fed will start to slow down. In either case, TLT should benefit if there's a slowdown in the economy. If the Fed starts to slow down at any point, TLT should benefit. But from a technical perspective, I'd want to see it hold over 100 on any pullbacks, and then over 110, I think opens up a new leg higher. Then the last chart, Exxon Mobil, and this is not a good one. So I closed out Exxon today. I took a little bit of a loss when I sold it this morning. I booked some gains in the stock higher a month or two ago. But what I see with Exxon is what I'm seeing with a lot of cyclicals, a pretty big rollover. So Exxon was holding this 200-day moving average going back for quite a while. It tested below it today. Now, Exxon does have an oversold daily RSI at 24. So whenever I see an oversold RSI like this, I always expect a bounce. The last time it touched 30, we can see that marked the exact low for Exxon, and then it bounced off this 200-day moving average. So in the near term, I wouldn't be surprised to see maybe some type of an oversold technical bounce in energy and a lot of these cyclical stocks. But with the chart having rolled over below the 200-day, bearish 20, 50-day cross to the downside, 50 days starting to roll over, and a lot of weakness in energy, what I'm seeing here is a rollover breakdown that could bounce, but it's not something that I want to buy into. So I closed out this position today. So that's it for today's video. I hope that you enjoyed the charts, and we look forward to seeing you online.
Hey, Grayson Rose here with StockCharts. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, consider giving it a like down below, maybe leave us a comment, and if you're new to the channel, you can subscribe at the link up above. We're gonna bring you daily content from an incredible collection of technical analysts and financial experts.